This video is brought to you by the Magic Candle Company. Use offer code OFFHAND for 15% off of your entire order using the link in the description down below.
Step into the future in EPCOT Center's newest invention. Step into the future in Horizons. Step into the future today.
Man, I will never get tired of that commercial. In 1982, EPCOT Center opened for everyone around the world to enjoy a permanent version of a World's Fair. In an afternoon, you could travel the entire world sampling food and drinks at the World Showcase, or in the front of the park, you could learn about communication through the ages at Spaceship Earth, listen to the land over at the best attraction at Walt Disney World, witness the history of transportation at World of Motion, and get a glimpse into the future over at Horizons. Now, Horizons was special in the way that it took all of the lessons that EPCOT was trying to teach the visitors, the kids, the adults, and the grandparents, and everyone in between who visited the parks, and tie them all into one attraction, into one pavilion. An attraction that served to show off humanity's progression into the future, space travel, and beyond, and of course always keeping in line with Walt Disney's idea of progress. And, you know, to top it all off, it was an Omnimover dark ride, the best style of attraction. I think I can speak from personal experience on that one. And there's nothing quite like it today at the Disney parks. In fact, there's nothing like it today at the Disney parks because Horizons closed in 1994. And then actually it closed again in 1999, but that's a whole other thing. It doesn't exist anymore. It's not there. It's Mission Space now, and I refuse to ride Mission Space. You all know why. And although Horizons sadly and tragically passed away in 1994 and then again in 1998, this video serves as a way to remember that attraction and a way we can find things in the Disney parks today that reflect that old attraction. Dare I say, remnants, pieces of forgotten EPCOT that still exist there today, right where we left them, kind of, in a way. We are talking about remnants of Horizons that are found at EPCOT, where Horizons was. Now, in order to talk about our first forgotten remnant of Horizons at EPCOT, we need to discuss this, the shape of the pavilion. Take a really good look at it. Notice the shape. Notice how it kind of almost looks like a UFO landed at EPCOT. Okay, now, unlike Horizons, where you travel forward into the future, for my next trick, we are going to travel back in time, 2 years to the old ancient calendar year of 2022. Now, join me in EPCOT 2 years ago. It's this way. The World's Fair, that's the point, right? There it is, straight ahead. Can you see it? No, not Mission Space, below there. The planter. The planter. Look at the shape. This isn't your average, everyday, ordinary planter. I'm gonna walk around it so you guys get an idea of the full shape. These days, yes, it is a very basic looking planter, but back in the day, back in the 80s, this was the Horizons planter. This planter is history. Forgive me because it was very windy that day, but yes, old past Dallin is correct. That is the Horizons planter. Why is it known as the Horizons planter? Well, remember when I was talking to you before about like memorizing the shape of the Horizons pavilion? Take a look at the planter now. This planter specifically, because there are a ton of them, you would be forgiven for looking at the wrong planter. It's a hexagon, the very same shape as the marquee, the sign that used to be in front of Horizons, also a hexagon, as well as the building. You look at it from straight on, 6 sides. It's also a hexagon. They did not remove this planter when they removed Horizons. Mission Space, instead of replacing the old Horizons marquee planter, got its own planter in 2003 when it opened. Look at this planter. That's what we're really here for. It makes sense too because it's like a road leading out. And you're coming toward the horizon, which is this way. You get it, it's the Horizons planter. It's a horizon. Just don't think too hard about it. That being said, however, our next little forgotten piece of Horizons that still exists is actually in the queue of Mission Space. So we do have to go inside for this one, unfortunately. I hope you all booked your Genie Plus passes because I am not waiting. Upon entering the indoor portion of the queue for Mission Space, first, be sure to rally your bravery because you're going to need it. And 2, no. Second, look up at the wall, that giant rotating wheel. It's called a gravity wheel and is meant in the lore, in the story of the attraction, to serve as a way to simulate living in space. Or maybe it doesn't rotate anymore? I wouldn't know. I avoid mission space at all costs, in case you haven't picked that up yet. But the gravity wheel is important. It displays or displayed different rooms showing different environments where astronauts would live, work, and eat, as well as a ladder going across the front. That way you can, crawl across the outside of the gravity wheel in zero gravity, and a hatch where they can exit from. And if you look at the hatch, you may notice something a little familiar. I was about to say in the early days of EPCOT, all of the pavilions had their logos, but that's actually still true. They all got sort of new logos with new EPCOT. Here are the new ones, and here are the old ones. And if you look right over there, this one is the Horizons logo. And if you look, we're going back again, at the hatch on the gravity wheel, you may notice the old pavilion logo for Horizons right there, dead center of the hatch. That's awesome. A nice reference, okay? I love a good reference. I'm a reference guy. But that's not the only reference, because if we go back to those new pavilion logos I just showed you, if you don't know what they all are already, I'll give you one guess as to which one Mission Space is. That's right, it's this one. You can see the spaceship flying up toward the sky and a couple of, well, what is that? Lines? Lines like the ones on the original Horizons pavilion logo? Coincidence? No, nothing's a coincidence. Sun in my face. So, Disney, I raise this to you, my friends. I don't know if you know this or not, but it's been a while since I've been on Mission Space. It's been a couple of years, like a decade since I've been on Mission Space. If you want to make the attraction, the Space Pavilion, better and do a new sort of attraction, a slow-moving Omnimover, maybe, I have an idea for you. I have a pitch. If you want a new pavilion logo, Here is the ultimate Space Pavilion logo, a combination of what we had in the past and what we have now in the present. This is a look into the future of EPCOT, everyone. Thank you. I worked really hard on it. We've talked about the old Horizons Pavilion logo before in the past on one of my videos on my channel. I don't know where it is. It's in there though. Trust me. But we haven't talked about the new pavilion logos from Mission Space, and I put them all together, you make the best Space Pavilion logo. And if they want to make it even better, if they want to make the ultimate attraction, to shut down Mission Space once and for all, to go in a completely different direction and build the best EPCOT attraction ever, something that combines the ideas of old and new EPCOT together in one synergistic, slow-moving dark ride, here, my friends, is all of the pavilion logos combined together into one ultimate EPCOT logo. There you have it. That's the pavilion logo for the best EPCOT ride. Again, you're welcome. Now, our next reference, or remnant, depending on how you look at it, takes us not to EPCOT, but instead onto the monorail line across property to the Magic Kingdom. Now, what ride or what land could possibly have a reference to the best EPCOT attraction of all time? Well, second best EPCOT attraction of all time. Of course, it has to be at Tomorrowland, and one of Tomorrowland's most popular attractions. Anywhere in the world, basically, wherever you go, Space Mountain. Now, go ahead, step into that 90-minute standby line for Space Mountain. You will not find the reference to Horizons at the beginning of the ride in the queue or during the ride itself. Instead, wait until you disembark. Hey everyone, so I couldn't film on the attraction, so I'm going to give you a quick, a real brief simulation of what it's like to ride Space Mountain. It's essentially this. Now, once you disembark your rocket, you will arrive at essentially Space Customs, or a space baggage claim. But before you head down the hallway and view all of the amazing exhibits that some may or may not reference Horizons, in a way, stop. Do not go any further down this tunnel. Instead, wait for your party near the conveyor belt where all the luggage is being stored, and you may notice a small sticker on one of the suitcases that says Mesa Verde. Now, Mesa Verde is in my home state, Colorado, but it is also part of the original Horizons attraction. You see, there was a scene in Horizons that depicted arid zone agriculture, or having farms and growing vegetables and fruits and whatever you want in the desert, where it's usually really hard to grow food because it's the future and we have future technology. That scene took place in Mesa Verde. And over the years since its closure, and even, I guess, since its operation, it's been a sort of way to tell Horizons fans from the non-Horizons fans. You're talking to somebody about their favorite rides, you mention Mesa Verde, Horizons gets brought up, Horizons is the best. So while yes, it was a popular scene within the ride, it also became one of the, the first Disney parks memes, Mesa Verde, Horizons. So of course one of the pieces of luggage at the end of Space Mountain would have the Mesa Verde sticker on it. Maybe this is one one of the suitcases that belongs to this lady. She's in the scene, she's there, she's doing the farming. It is also in the Mesa Verde scene where we see a futuristic sci-fi looking hovercraft helping, do the chores around the farm. And that hovercraft, my friends, that hovercraft gets around. Now you can continue down that hallway, exit Space Mountain, walk past the robot butler that is not this robot butler from Horizons, past the futuristic scene that isn't from Horizons, but looks like it could be, walk our way all the way back up to the front of the park through the turnstiles and board a bus with me, my friends, because we are going to Disney's Hollywood Studios. Follow me here. Nowadays, when a new attraction comes in to replace an older attraction, they don't save a lot of the props from that older attraction to incorporate into the newer attraction, right? Like, say, for example, the celebrity figures from Superstar Limo at California Adventure reused, repurposed into the animatronics / figures on Mike and Sully to the Rescue. Now you're more likely to find references to the old ride, not necessarily recycled props, like references to the great movie ride on Runaway Railway. That's at Hollywood Studios, though, not at Disneyland. Those props usually go to the archives nowadays, where they're put in cold storage Indiana Jones style for the next 100 years until something happens. They're either ruined or they're brought out for D23 and everyone goes, wow, before they're put back into storage. But in the olden days, they didn't want to trash just everything. They trashed a lot of stuff, don't get me wrong, but they didn't trash everything, including this hovercraft that we were talking about earlier, the Mesa Verde hovercraft. It survives. Anyway, remember when I said we were going to Hollywood Studios? Well, we're there now, and I believe it is about time for lunch at the Backlot Express restaurant. Because if you find yourself at the Backlot Express, you may also find yourself a little piece of real EPCOT history. Now, when you first enter the Backlot Express, do not proceed to the counter and order chicken tenders or a hamburger. Instead, take a left into the dining room and look up. You see, the story for the Backlot Express is it's supposed to be a sort of storage area for crew on these productions. That's why there's a lot of, equipment everywhere. Not so many props, but there are a couple. To the left of the ordering station, you may find yourself a bunch of lockers, and if you look on top of the lockers, it's a little rusty, it's a little worn down, but it is still recognizable, an original Horizons hovercraft from the Mesa Verde scene. This is one of the well-known remnants of Horizons. If you're ever in the area, you may find someone looking for or at it, but it's nice to see that Disney kept a prop from such a classic attraction, even if it is collecting dust and rust up there on a shelf. There was also another Horizons hovercraft, a second one, if you can believe it, on the Backlot tour, not at Hollywood Studios, but instead over at Disneyland Paris's Walt Disney Studios park. And funnily enough, just a weird little quirk, it was accompanied by a single-person submarine prop, also from Horizons. Weird. This was as recently as 2016, too, according to Twitter. Obviously now, the Backlot tour is gone, it is Cars Road Trip, and none of those props remain. The submarine can be seen during the Ocean Settlement scene, the Sea Castle Base scene, which actually, funnily enough, directly follows the Mesa Verde scene, so it's the same order as we see them in this Backlot, photo in the former scene that was on the Backlot tour. First the hovercraft, followed by the submarine. Now there's one last sort of reference or remnant of Horizons that takes us not back to EPCOT, not to Hollywood Studios or Magic Kingdom or even Animal Kingdom or dare I say Disneyland itself. We are going to cross the pond. We're going to go over the ocean to Tokyo Disneyland and board Star Tours The Adventures Continue. Now, I used to be a Star Tours hater. I've grown to become more fond of it now. I still don't love the ride, but it's fine. It's a simulator that does simulator things. What more can be said about Star Tours? Now, for context, returning to EPCOT for just a moment, at the end of Horizons, guests were presented with 3 different choices for 3 different endings of the attraction.
Attention Horizons passengers. You are invited to choose your own flight path back to the future port. Please look down at the lighted panels in front of you. Press one of the 3 ride choices: space, desert, or undersea. Everyone can choose. Majority rules. All passengers, make your selections now.
You could return to Futureport or the Horizons building at EPCOT from Brava Centauri, Mesa Verde, or Sea Castle. And each choice corresponded to its own 31-second clip showing the return to Futureport from the destination that you selected. It was sort of like a proto-Soarin' where you'd be soaring over Brava Centauri or soaring over Mesa Verde. And it looked amazing because the sets in those mini-movies, I call them mini-movies, they're 31 seconds long, were filmed using miniatures. And David Jones, the man who helped sort of oversee oversee the building of the miniatures for Horizons, also helped build miniatures for Star Wars, known to us younglings as Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. So right off the bat, Horizons has a sort of spiritual connection with Star Wars, and I guess in a way to pay homage to that connection. There is, or was, I'm not sure if it's still there, a kiosk at the exit to Star Tours The Adventures Continue at Tokyo Disneyland, specifically nowhere else in the world, that will show guests that interact with it, quote-unquote, additional Star Tours excursions. Now there are 3 of these excursions, and they look very suspiciously like Mesa Verde, Sea Castle, and Brava Centauri. And that would be because they are. The screen below says it's the desert planet Barneth, but if you look at the footage they're showing us, that is the Mesa Verde scene from Horizons, complete with the same ships, the terraforming, the desert, all of it. It's exactly the same. That is Horizons footage. Jones himself said that the Mesa Verde miniature was 86 feet long and was one of the longest continual shots of a miniature ever put to film. You can also see a reference to the Carl Hodgesville Dude Ranch, which was a little cheeky reference, a little nod towards Carl Hodges, who is the director of environmental research at the University of Arizona and helped the Imagineers create a futuristic and fantastical, but also grounded in reality, realistic depiction of the future and agriculture. Also, he had like the best hat ever. I can't move on without mentioning the hat, I'm sorry. But his work doesn't stop at Horizons. He was also the primary consultant for the opening day EPCOT attraction. You know it, I love it, Listen to the Land, nowadays known as Living with the Land, the best ride at Walt Disney World. It just keeps getting better. It keeps getting better. Any chance I have to talk about the Haunted Mansion, either of the People Movers or Living with the Land, I'm gonna take that chance. You should know that by now. The second vacation package at this kiosk offered by Star Tours is an underwater vacation package to the water planet Praia, which, as you guessed, features the Sea Castle return footage from Horizons and even has a reference to the Sea Castle as a resort hotel right down there in the description. It may not be an Easter egg so much as a way for the story to make sense because the footage does include your ship docking at Sea Castle. It says it right there, Sea Castle, so maybe it's just to cause less confusion. And then of course you have the family adventure package, last but not least the return to Brava Centauri from Horizons. But of course it can't be known as Brava Centauri here, instead it's known as the Rodon Value Pod Hotel. And this should look relatively familiar to you. I showed it before in this video in the context of the EPCOT ride, but here it's in the context of Star Tours. But I also find it interesting that this excursion is advertised as an adventure to the edge of the galaxy, an adventure to, you could say, Galaxy's Edge. Now, I'm not saying there's a definitive connection. I'm not saying that Galaxy's Edge was inspired by something that it wasn't inspired by, but what I am saying is that Imagineers are first and foremost like you and I. They're Disney fans. And would it be so much of a stretch to say, to maybe allude to the fact that Star Wars has used a reference to Galaxy's Edge before Galaxy's Edge was built at Hollywood Studios and Disneyland, an adventure to the edge of the galaxy, using footage from EPCOT's Horizons that was made in part by a man who helped assist with Living with the Land? Do you see what I'm getting at here? There's a common thread tying all of these things together, and it all ties back to Living with the Land and to EPCOT. Now, when I started this video to talk about these remnants of Horizons, these references to Horizons, I didn't think I would arrive at the conclusion that the name of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge may have been inspired in part by Horizons. But after watching this video provided by Cooper and 9, it will be down in the description down below if you want to watch the entire video, please go check it out, that I had never seen before, there may be something there. I think this is something someone over there at Disney, if you're watching this, should look into. Now, this video was uploaded 12 years ago in 2012, which is just insane for me to say, and I'm not sure if this kiosk is still there. I really, really hope that it is. Anybody watching from Tokyo, please let me know, but this kiosk, if it's still there, is one of the best remaining remnants of Horizons, and it's not even near Florida. And it absolutely needs to be protected at all costs if it is still there. So there you are, my friends, 3+ references to Horizons that still exist in the Disney parks today. And I think it bears mentioning that Horizons is such a beloved attraction in hindsight, and it is looked back so fondly on the people who got to experience it, while Mission Space is relegated to the realm of vomit and simulators. I think that if Disney really wanted to, they could do something special with the Space Pavilion where Mission Space currently stands. And if they really wanted to, maybe someday, I've said this in all of my other Horizons videos, but it bears mentioning, bears repeating, we could explore some new horizons. Wait, that's actually a really good name. All right, my friend, the Horizons video is done. Now, are you sure you can handle it here by yourself for like an entire week? You can handle this, right? Huh? Yeah, don't worry about me. I'll be fine. All right, well, I got some Genie Plus reservations to make and some Kona Cafe to eat, so I guess I'm leaving it up to you. Yep, up to me. Easy peasy. Just try your hardest not to let anything burn down, okay? I'm trusting you. You have 1 week. 1 week, okay? He's gonna burn the whole place down. I know he's going to. I'm not gonna burn the house down. Is he gone? Oh yeah, he is. Wait, you thought I was actually gonna burn the house down? No, this is an ad spot. Because as he mentioned at the beginning of the video, this video was brought to you by the Magic Candle Company. They are the wonderful sponsors of this video, and they can help you make your home or office or hovercraft smell like your favorite theme park locations and attractions. From crackling candles that smell like mouse-shaped waffles to room sprays that smell like the attic of a haunted mansion. If you visit their website, magiccandlecompany.com, and use offer code OFFHAND at checkout, you will get 15% off of your entire order, no matter what you order. You can order anything you want, as much or as little. Offhand, you get 15% off. I mean, come on, it's a great deal. Plus, I get to burn the Rome burning scent, inspired by the burning of the Library of Alexandria scene on Spaceship Earth, because when he's not here, I want my house to smell like a burning library. He doesn't like the smell of burning libraries. Like, couldn't tell you why. It's the loss of thousands of years of knowledge. Once again, that's magiccandlecompany.com and offer code OFFHAND at checkout to get 15% off of your order. A very big thank you to the Magic Candle Company for sponsoring this video. All right, I could get used to this, sitting in the boss's chair. This is nice. It seems he's left something for us over here. Let me just go ahead and click play. All right, if he's played this, that means you are now watching the end card for this video. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for watching, and I really do hope you enjoyed it. This video sort of evolved as I made it when I discovered the whole thing with the Star Tours kiosk and the Horizons, the rides called Horizons endings. I thought it was really neat. I needed to cover it somehow. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, and if you're new around here and you want more videos like this covering remnants and references to old extinct Disney attractions, please hit that subscribe button. The channel is growing. If you want early access to videos like this, you can also join all of my supporters over at patreon.com. They have access to an exclusive video over there regarding the future of the channel in 2024 and my plans, and also they get early access to my videos about a day early, sometimes a little earlier than the general public when they go live on YouTube. If that sounds interesting to you, it's only $1, and if you want to, you can pledge more. They help keep this channel on the rails. They help me do what I'm doing. They help me get into the parks to get footage and to research and to get books to read about Horizons. So a very, very big thank you to them. And if you want to follow me for free, you can follow me on my other social media accounts, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. It's Offhand Disney on all of those platforms. But that about wraps it up. Again, thanks to the Magic Candle Company, and I hope I've left the channel in good hands while I'm out of town this next week in Orlando visiting Walt Disney World, but, you know, that remains to be seen. Hey! So, I guess I'll see you all later. See you all in a week and a half, 2 weeks, whatever it is. Goodbye. Oh, it was just the end card. Well, I guess I'll, see you all next week. Goodbye. You said it already. Doesn't matter.